So many women that I work with tell me that they feel like they've signed a contract for life of being the good girl. And I know exactly what they're talking about, the kind of good girl that says yes to everything and doesn't want to make waves, certainly doesn't want to make anyone feel uncomfortable. And when we explore the kind of childhood that they grew up with, what we found was what we are finding is that uh, people, women especially, who signed the good girl contract grew up in families where they were met with severe consequences or punishment or dislike or disapproval if they said no, if they were somehow contrary, if they made waves, if or in fact if their siblings did those things. And so they learned very early on to get along and to survive and to avoid punishment and consequences. The best thing to do was to be kind and nice and agreeable and don't make waves and don't say no and don't question things. Certainly don't be angry or raise your voice, otherwise it's not good. Another member of the family may have been allowed to raise their voice or be disagreeable, but certainly you as the oldest, maybe sometimes daughter or the one of the siblings, were not permitted to have big angry feelings. You were far more rewarded for being kind and nice and gentle and agreeable. And you know what? In and of itself, that is not a problem per se. You had to do what you had to do to function well within your family system, within that system, the bigger system around you that also maybe protected you or loved you. And so that was how you needed to be. The issue is, as an adult, you are no longer bound by those contractual agreements, yet you live by the assumption that those contractual agreements still are in play, particularly when you're dealing with your family. So, as a grown woman, you still don't want to make waves. You still don't want to make a fuss. You still want to be agreeable. You still want to please everybody. You certainly feel guilty when you're resting or when you want to say no and so on. You still feel guilty. You still over explain yourself. And it's time to break that good girl contract. You're no longer bound by it. I'm not saying you have to go wild and suddenly become, I don't know, a low breaker, but the point is, when I see my clients and they tell me they are exhausted, that they're living a life that doesn't feel aligned with what their values are, that they feel like they're living someone else's life, they're saying too many yeses, this is where probably the issue lies. It's not a boundary issue. We've talked about this before. It's not about learning a script to say no. It's about recognizing that good girl contract and start to question uh, the contractual agreements, and you don't have to abide by that anymore. You can start to slowly make little changes to break the contract a little bit. No one's going to sue you, I promise. People may not like it, your family members may not like it, but they're not going to sue you. And you will be living a more fulfilled and value aligned life. So, here's the deal. If this resonates with you, send me a message. I'm happy to talk through with you about how to break the contract. All right. I'll talk to you soon. Bye.